Dear friends, I want to sincerely thank you for your interest in my recent sharing of a home Vipassana experience that I had about a couple weeks ago, and your request to receive more information about this practice and the technique. And I want to say that by no means I feel any kind of authority or teacher position where I feel I can guide people through this, because this was only my second Vipassana, and in 1 week I'll be starting my third one. And I made a commitment to make this my monthly practice for at least 3 days, besides the daily practice of the meditation. But because of this request that came from few people, I feel an honor to at least share some of the information and my experience, what I know. And I strongly encourage you to please do your own research and find the right teachers and right technique and something that resonates with your heart and connection to this divine wisdom. And before I go further, I want to say that something that I learned in this recent experience, that having the ability to meditate, or especially to have access to Vipassana, is actually a karmic gift. It's something that you have earned previously, this lifetime or in other lifetimes and other lifetime experiences, and some good deeds that you have made and some results of some spiritual work, that it's time to claim this gift. And if it resonates with your heart, it means that, you know, it's like kind of you won a lottery and it's time to go and claim that prize. So this is my just encouragement to please don't forget to claim that gift and receive all these beautiful benefits of this practice, which has been around for about 2,500 years and hasn't changed much since then. And the practice, the tradition that I'm following is a Satipatthana tradition, and it's formed on four bases and foundations, and it's establishing awareness through body, through feelings, through emotions or mental states, and through thoughts. And the technique is aimed to work with all of those aspects of our being. And Vipassana itself, from Pali language, means the clear vision. So for those who haven't heard of it before, Vipassana is the silent meditation retreat. And the first one I did in Chiang Mai in the north of Thailand in the Buddhist monastery. It was an 11-day experience. And there are certain rules of and commitments that you're obliged to follow. And of course, the experience in the monastery is definitely more strict than it is at home, but I believe that the rules, the foundations, it's something that we also were asked to oblige and follow, and of course I would like to speak to those. So you make a promise, obviously to yourself or to the divine, that you follow the following 4 requirements: that you refrain from killing, and it means that even a bug or an insect, and therefore you strongly advise to follow the vegetarian or even vegan diet. You refrain from lying, from cheating, from sexual activities including masturbation, and from using any kind of substances, mind-altering substances, you know, alcohol or for example, I work with a hape medicine, which is just a tobacco snuff. It's not a drug, but obviously for this time I was not using it. Even coffee is not recommended. So it's just to have as clear body as possible and committing to that. Furthermore, in the monastery, we were sleeping on the floors with just a very thin pad. So the encouragement not to sleep on the very soft beds, and obviously not to sit on a very soft chair when you meditate. Here I have a meditation cushion that I actually brought from Nepal, and I use other pillows to make myself as comfortable as possible. But of course you need to have a straight spine, and I will record a different video about the techniques of the meditations, because This Vipassana, there's another Goenka tradition where many people are familiar with, and it's just a sitting meditation. And in this tradition, there are sitting and walking meditation. And the home Vipassana, the home retreat that I was doing, it was the schedule was the same as it was in the monastery, where you wake up at 4 a.m. and you just go to the bathroom, and then you sit in the sitting meditation for 45 minutes. And then it was different from the monastery, but I was very grateful. We were allowed to have in 1 hour of any practice. It can be pranayam, the breath work. I was practicing the qigong, yoga. So whatever speaks to you, whatever your practice is, that's 1 hour of that practice, and it definitely helps to prepare the body for the day of meditation. And then you have another 45 minutes sitting meditation. After that, you can have a breakfast which is around 6:30. And so the meals during the Vipassana time, you basically have 2 meals, one early in the morning around 6:30 to 7:30, and the second meal between 11 a.m. till 1 p.m. And one of the rules that you don't consume any hard meal in the afternoon. Around 5 p.m. you're allowed to have tea or cacao and maybe some fruit, something very light. And so the purpose behind it, you need to have enough of nutrition just to help you to go through the day. But because you're not going to be very active, you don't need a lot of food. And also understanding that this is actually going deep within yourself, so removing everything that will distract you, or including all the pleasures. So be in a neutral state as much as you can, and in a position of observer. So it's not the time to indulge in food. And my meals were about like an oatmeal in the morning, and I would have it with avocado and soy sauce. I just like it's savory. And then for lunch, I would have a soup, or sometimes I would have a rice and a salad. So just very basic meal. And soup I prepared for the whole 5 days, not to spend time on cooking. And obviously something that you can make quick and accessible. As I said, it's advised to have a vegan diet, or at least vegetarian, like okay for eggs and cheese, but better not to consume animal products, the meat or the fish. So after the breakfast, it's normally time, the way in the home Vipassana, it was time for the lecture. And there were 2 lectures a day. The first one would be more about the technique, and there are certain things that they were added along the process, certain points on which you concentrate during the meditation. And the session in the afternoon would be about teachings. It's mostly Buddhist teachings. And also another note for those who are not familiar with Buddhism at all, Buddhism is not a religion, it's more of a conduct of living, the way of life. And for those who practice yoga, it's actually very aligned with yogic living. And maybe you know that the physical aspect of yoga, the asanas, is only 1/8 of the yogic living. So the rest 7 is about your moral conduct, the way you live, the way you eat, you treat yourself, you treat others, the world. So the teachings will be about karma, a lot about that, and the layers and aspects of karma, which go very deep. And during my time when I was in Nepal and I was staying in a Buddhist monastery, they were the biggest take from that experience were these 2 topics which I got more understanding of, and now I understand that it goes deeper in different levels. But the first one was the karma, and the second one was this loving compassion, which Buddhism has really strong foundation upon. And it's all about praying, for other living beings, sentient beings, be free from suffering, be happy. And it cultivates the compassion, and the more compassion we have for each other and ourselves, the more we see ourselves as one in this experience, which removes us from that state of duality or separation, and then brings us closer to this oneness and unity of all, not just humans, but also the animal kingdom, the plant kingdom, and all of that. So there's my recommendation: if you decide to follow this journey and do it on your own at home, to prepare for 5 days, some maybe even lectures on YouTube, some channel that resonates with you, with some maybe Buddhist teaching. And obviously it's not converting yourself to Buddhism, it's just creating the moral foundation. And it also helps with your process of Vipassana itself, where you can, with everything that will be unfolding, that will be something to rely upon. And maybe, there's plenty of information available on YouTube. Maybe there are some even for Vipassana, to have kind of guidance. And I was really benefiting a lot personally from that experience. And I mean, the only reason why I cannot share the source, I'm happy to share it with those who speak Russian language, because it was in my native language. And I obviously, for my other friends who don't speak the language, this is the reason why I'm doing this. So in the morning after the breakfast, you would begin to have walking and sitting meditation. And again, there is certain technique how you do both of them, and it's important not to have an interruption in between, even like going to the toilet or drinking water, because the walking meditation is a foundation for sitting one. In the walking meditation, we train the brain more to be concentrated, and also to have the awareness when we are in awakened state, when during our daily life. And I can see the benefits now still very clearly, where it's based on acknowledging everything that there is. For example, you walk in the meditation and then you hear a sound, so you repeat within yourself, hearing, hearing, hearing. You acknowledge 3 times whatever the sensation is. Or a fly passes by and you say, seeing, seeing, seeing. You're not saying that, you're saying it inside of yourself. Or a thought came to you and you just say, thinking, thinking, thinking. So, and also it goes further to, for example, if something comes up which is not pleasant, some thought or some memory or something emotional, you can say feeling, 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 or you can say liking, 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 or disliking, disliking, disliking. And the most important thing is, as soon as you notice something, acknowledging it, and then repeating, returning back to the original state where you were, just going through this guiding process, being in this position of an observer. That's the main goal. And one of these points of this technique is to show you, and for you to experience that you're not just the body, you're not just the thoughts, you're not just the emotions, you're not that at all. And that experience allows you to separate yourself from all of that, so you can actually see your being in a much bigger sense. And then the day goes on where you meditate, you do this sitting, walking and sitting meditation, and then you have a lunch, and it's like a 2-hour break where you can have a lunch and have a rest if you feel sleepy. And the first 2 days I would have a nap, but then I didn't need to, because you have such a really big surge of energy like coming to you. But again, you may have that break, and then you just continue with meditations, and then there will be an afternoon session, and then a 5 p.m. break for just for tea and cacao or fruit. And then you meditate, and in the evening it's recommended to do the metta prayer. It's also, the very famous Buddhist prayer for, again, wishing happiness to the people who you love, to the earth, to people on earth, to people who you have a difficult relationship with. So, and to yourself, of course. And again, metta prayer is something that is all over the internet, and you can do the research. And it helps to closure the day with this nice intention and connecting to all around you. And it's recommended to go to bed between 9 and 9:30 p.m. And one of my personal recommendations that I was doing, every morning I would dedicate my practice. For example, I began with the whole people on earth, with the whole humanity. And then the next day would be all the people who I love, my friends, my dear ones, my loved ones, my family. and another day would be people who I hurt in some way, intentionally or unintentionally, and another day would be people who hurt me in some way, intentionally or unintentionally. So it was an intuitive thing that I did, but it helped me so much when in the difficult moments, when, because of course it is a hard work, and meditating, 7-8 hours a day is not an easy thing, especially with everything coming up. You have really pleasant experiences, you have really difficult experiences, morally and physically, and you have to endure all that, and just to go through it without attaching to any of that, and releasing whatever comes up, and just acknowledging its presence, and then just coming back to the neutral self. So when I was going through that really hard experiences, and there were times when I was just struggling, I just wanted to escape myself, I was remembering that I dedicated that day to others. So I cannot quit, because it's not about only me, but it's also about the commitment that I made to others, and I need to honor that commitment. So that helped me to go through this, and this is something, my personal know-how trick that I used, and maybe you will find it also useful. So what are the other rules about Vipassana? Because it is a silent retreat, and you're not supposed to talk at all. In the monastery, we had a chance once a day to talk to our coordinator. It was instead of this lecture that I had online, it was just this kind of follow up and talking about the process, and mostly the questions would be, so how are your feelings? What do you feel during the sitting one? How do you feel during the walking one? Do you concentrate on your feet when you walk? That's where your focus should be. Or do you acknowledge everything that comes up, even if it's something pleasant? Because once I entered a fifth dimension in my walking meditation, and of course it was so fascinating. And I came to my coordinator just feeling like, wow, this is really amazing. And I was sharing my experience. And his comment was, have you acknowledged it as experiencing? And I was so surprised. I was expecting him to go, wow, with me. And of course, it was not the case. And what he told me, he said, Yana, understand that, or see this process as you getting in the elevator of a 12th floor building. And the elevator doors opens on the 4th floor. And you see something really interesting and intriguing. And of course you may get out there, but don't forget there are 8 more floors to go. So kind of just stay with your experience, acknowledge it, and then just move on. So with no silence, and now it's a good time, especially since we all at home, and you can still do it even if you have roommates or family, partners, etc. It's just to having really clear agreement about what you will be doing, that you won't be able to communicate in any way and engaging with them in any way. But also, even if you live by yourself, it means no communication with with the outside world, no cell phone, nothing, and it's not very difficult. It's actually, with the first day, your hand may go to the usual scrolling thing, but then you actually feel incredible without the need to connect. And of course, you may miss your loved ones or be even worried about them, but it's all about committing to this experience and understanding that this is the most important work you can do for yourselves and actually for your loved ones, because this experience will help you to understand more, to connect more, to relate more. So this serves everyone around you, but the whole humanity as well. So that kind of sacrifice of disconnection is actually a great gift. You're not allowed to read, you're not allowed to write, which in this home meditation was not very strict. And they of course ask not to write books, but it was kind of okay to make some notes about your experience, which I was doing, and that's my process, and it helped me a lot. Again, it's something that you need to decide for yourself, but basically no distractions of any kind, because our inner look is always, the inner projector is always turned to the outside world, watching, observing, thinking, judging, liking, disliking. So this is the time to turn it and direct it to ourselves, to go within, And that's why the goal is to refrain from any kind of distractions of any kind of media. You're not allowed to sing. In the monastery we were wearing only white clothing, and women were supposed to we had some kind of scarf which we were covering the breasts because there were monks there. And also women are required not to wear any jewelry or makeup. And during my time I was wearing like some simple clothing that I brought from Nepal, which is not about your body at all. It's not the time to do the spa. It's not the time to clean the house. It's not the time to do anything besides meditation. So you can do basic, actually there are twice a day you encouraged to take a shower. So yeah, you just take a shower, you comb your hair, and then you just come back to meditating. Same with an apartment, if you need to sweep the floors, of course do that, but don't start to make like really big projects around the house. This is not the time. This is the time to fully concentrate and go within yourself. So there is such thing as the insights of the Vipassana, and there are many of them, and they all based on your individual experience, your life story, your traumas, your relationship with other people, and they come up in different way and form. They come up as memories, as dreams. They come up as certain sensations in the body. For example, I have a big struggle with sensations where, for example, my leg goes numb or I have an itching. And of course, the invitation is not to react to those things. You have certain concentration points which you are invited to concentrate on all the time. And actually it helps if you have a really strong concentration. For example, in the sitting meditation, it's on your belly, and you just say within yourself, rising, falling, sitting, for example. When you think sitting, you connect to the point where you actually sit on the cushion or on the pillow. So these are your points and the anchors where you can always come back, not always can, but should come back to whatever the experience you have. And so with this itching thing, when suddenly everything starts to itch and you just like feel like going crazy with all of that, understand that it's also part of the experience. It's not a coincidence that it's itching, and it's training you not to react. Because if you learn how not to react to something that happens within your body, then later in life, when you get out of the experience, you will be more tolerable to the things that happen outside of yourself. When someone shows aggression, or someone is in unconscious behavior, or whatever happens outside, you will be less reactive. So you will be in that observer mode more and more. So that's why the encouragement, of course, to be present with all of those sensations. And one day I had this feeling that some wild ants were attacking me. I could feel the bites. It was just so strong that it was painful, and at some point I had to itch because it was just unbearable. And one friend of mine, she's done, I think, 4 Vipassanas, and she has shared that she has 3 kids. And she has shared that in one of the Vipassanas, she was delivering a baby. Like, it was like a birth pain, like she was going through the labor. And because she's done it 3 times in her life, she knows how it feels. Obviously, she didn't deliver the baby, but that was the sensation. So that's the extreme, how far it can go. And again, imagine the strength that you need to pull to return to your experience and just be in the witness position and observing everything and just acknowledging everything as it is. And there are probably many more details that you may have questions about, and I'll be happy to answer them under this video. And of course, again, please do your own research. This is a very serious process, and you need to feel prepared and have everything covered. But basically, as I said, have your food prepared, have a comfortable setup where you can do this, and have your phone turned off. Prepare some information, and it's okay if you will be watching some video based on the subjects that I mentioned for 1 hour a day, but other than that, that's all you need. You just need yourself and your intention. And also what helped me greatly is, and after that I encouraged my mom, my close friend who I did my first Vipassana with, and another close person in my life who will do it very soon. And it's something that I was sharing with them, that when I was offering, and they obviously they had their own hesitations, and they were saying something, I will try, and I said, don't say I will try. Because when you say I will try, you create the space where you say, okay, if it didn't work, then I will drop. So the commitment is, I will do this. You know, same way when you got to school, you had to finish it, or you got to college, wherever you go to work, you know that you just have to do this. No matter how hard it is, you commit to do that till the end. So that intention helped me a lot, just to know that no matter what I will encounter in that experience, I will go through this till the end. And by not having plan B, you fully committed to plan A. You don't give the energy to have a plan B, because even if it's 3%, in the hard time, that 3% may shift to 50%, and then you will have a doubt in yourself. And by removing the plan B, there is no room for the doubt. So that helped a lot. And is in terms of the insights, and as I said, no matter what you experience, always come back to the moment. And you may have good days, good moments, bad moments. Understand that this all will pass. There is nothing permanent in this life, and again, one of the Buddhist teachings is the impermanence of life. So understanding that no matter what that is, even if that moment it feels difficult, there will be the next moment where it will be incredible. And the goal is not to attach to either, just be in that. And in the end of the experience, when you come out of it, it feels like you've been through the soul laundry. You feel so clean and so pure. You feel like you've been in 5 days through the years of therapy, or through some ceremonies, you know, because I've done that too. It is such a beautiful, powerful experience which stays with you for the whole life, you know, if you decide to. And in the next video, I will be recording the techniques itself, the sitting and the walking meditation. And again, if I haven't covered something, and if you have some questions, please write down and I'll try to respond. And I really encourage you to take this step, to take this chance, to take this opportunity. This is the best time to do this. And again, remember, this is your gift. This is the gift that you have won, and it's time to just claim and receive it and enjoy it fully. Thank you so much for your attention. Thank you. Namaste.